Hey there guys, it is I, Spider-Man, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Also, Karan Jones, Zentai Fit. There's my superhero secret identity if you didn't know already. Shazam! That makes no sense. I wanted to talk to you guys about Spider-Man Homecoming. I wanted to give a spoiler talk review. So this is a spoiler, FYI. So I wanted to talk about the movie, what I thought about it, get my thoughts out, little things that caught my attention, little Easter eggs and whatnot. So let's talk about it. But first, let me take my mask off. Gosh, they make it look so easy in the movie, but it's really not that easy. You gotta unzip and all this other crazy stuff. Off! Why aren't you getting off of me? I'm trying to get my helmet, my mask off. Okay, it's almost there. I can breathe. I mean, I can breathe before. Boom. Here we go. That's easy. Done. Mask is off. Hair is crazy. I don't even know what I'm saying. But I wanted to talk about Homecoming. Guys, the movie was amazing. It was spectacular. It was just fantastic. Oh my gosh, you guys have to go see this movie. In my opinion, I think it was definitely the best Spider-Man film that I've seen in Hollywood, without a doubt. I think a movie that fans can enjoy. If you're a huge fan of Spider-Man, you will enjoy this movie. I think Tom Holland did an excellent job as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. They really captured that feel of him being in high school and the fun of being Spider-Man and the awkwardness too. You know, where he's not this perfect superhero vigilante. You know, he makes mistakes. You know, he is a kid trying to balance, you know, the superhero life and his personal life. And you definitely see that fleshed out in this film, and I think they did a tremendous job. Vulture, man, Vulture was awesome. I love Michael Keaton's villain, and I thought, I've heard this before too, where, you know, they even in like Spider-Man 2 and, you know, the Sam Raimi version, where they take almost a boring villain such as Doc Ock and made him awesome. I think they did that same thing, because when I first heard about Vulture being the villain, I wasn't quite sure how, you know, it was going to be, but man, he was intimidating, he was fun, you know, he was definitely like, you know, tech savvy and just awesome. Anytime he was on screen, I loved Vulture, and I thought that was really cool. One thing that took me by surprise is that Vulture was Liz Allen's dad, and I didn't expect that in the film, so when that happened, I thought that was pretty like, oh man, that adds to the frustration and tension that Peter was already dealing with in the movie. I just love the funness and just the fun. The movie was hilarious, first of all. And another thing, you know, I heard a lot of people saying like it was going to be another Iron Man, like Iron Man 4, and Tony Stark is barely in the movie at all. So if you're worried about that, that's not something you have to worry about in this particular film. When Tony is on screen, it's purposeful, and I think it's actually really cool. You know, I think it's definitely a passing of the torch, and it's purposeful. You know, that's all I can really say on that. Anytime Tony Stark is there, you know, it's for a reason, and I think it definitely fit well with the story. Zendaya, I really liked her character. She was definitely this funny, awkward, you know, kind of person in the crew. Everybody was like nerds, including Flash Thompson. You know, even though he was, you know, the bully nerd, but everybody's nerds, and they're nerds in their own way. And you definitely seen that, you know, in the group of kids who, you know, were in Midtown High, definitely in the, you know, kind of geeky club or whatever it was. So you definitely seen that. Everybody was nerds, but in their own way, and I thought that was really cool too, how that was depicted in the film. Action sequences, man, the movie was just fantastic. I mean, I loved everything about it. The storyline. Aunt May you got to see a little bit of her. She wasn't in the movie that much, but again, even with her, you know, I liked the scenes where she was at, and I thought it definitely served a good purpose. I think this is something that really I knew was going to be part of like the heart of, you know, this story, where, you know, Spider-Man, you know, definitely kind of went off into the deep end and, you know, was kind of being reckless with the suit that Tony gave him, and then eventually, you know, Tony takes the suit away because of what happened on the ship, you know, where lots of people, you know, could have died that day, but thankfully they didn't, thanks to Tony Stark showing up in his Iron Man gear. And then, you know, he takes Peter's, you know, suit away, which we seen in the trailer. But I thought, you know, in that transition, you definitely could see like Peter Parker was learning and kind of growing in a sense, you know, to say, I don't need this tech, I don't need this suit. the suit and the tech does not make me Spider-Man, you know, but it's more of his heart and his mind that allows him to have that strength. And there was a moment, I'm blanking out on the name of the comic, but I'm gonna post a picture of it like right now. So if you remember that comic and you remember a particular scene in the movie where, you know, Peter Parker, you know, got beat up by Vulture and, you know, like stuff was like trampled all over him. It looked like they were definitely referencing that moment or that cover, you know, in the comic, you know, and it definitely it seemed like that to me. It felt like that, you know, where he was, you know, everything was kind of crumbling down, literally, but also emotionally in his life, you know, and he had to, you know, channel his inner strength and his inner power, you know, to, you know, kind of fight against the odds. So it definitely kind of seemed like they were kind of giving some nostalgic moments, particularly, I say, with that particular comic. I don't know why I can't think of the name of it, but whatever. I posted the picture. You guys know what I'm talking about. Also, at the end, where Tony Stark is talking to Peter Parker, I thought it was really cool. It just dawned on me this morning. I was like getting ready and I was like, oh, it makes so much sense. There is a particular part, you know, in the end, you know, where Peter and Tony are conversing and, you know, he's telling them, you know, hey, if you did a good job, you know, taking down Vulture, you know, saving the stuff, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, Tony shows him this new, like, Spider-Man suit, you know, kind of looks Iron Spidey-ish, more high-tech, and he offers him, you know, to join kind of the Avengers, it seems like. And what it looked like, there was a crowd, you know. We also see Pepper. So, you know, Tony's lady, Pepper, she comes in, and we see a little chemistry with her and Tony, which is good, because I was always wondering where the hell Pepper was throughout all of this time. So it's good to see her back. But it seems like Pepper was holding like a conference, a press conference, where if Peter Parker were to join the Avengers, you know, and take that suit that Tony was about to give him, then he was going to go out in public and reveal that he was Spider-Man, and that definitely was a reference to the whole Civil War stuff. Obviously with the Civil War movie happening, but also more so I'm talking about like the Civil War comic, where, you know, we see in the Civil War comic book, you know, Peter Parker takes off his mask and reveals his identity, you know, to the public, and then everything just, you know, went south from that point on. But I thought that was a cool reference too, and how they did something different where, you know, he didn't reveal his identity, but just said, you know, I kind of want to continue just being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And I thought that was really cool, just to kind of see that. Peter's friend, I thought he was really cool, and, you know, the guy in the chair, I thought that was just, it was just fun to see, like, these teenagers and just how they're, you know, experiencing this world, but also in friendship. And I thought that was really cool, just a cool dynamic that they added versus what we've seen before. Those are my thoughts on the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. I loved it. How do I rank it compared to other Spider-Man movies? Man, I have to say this is definitely the best one. Like, for me, always, you know, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is just always going to be definitely one of my #1 favorites, just because that's what I grew up with. But in terms of Spider-Man movies in general, as a whole, I think this one definitely beats all the other ones, you know, where we got a fantastic story, we got a fantastic cast, but more so, you know, the embodiment of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, I thought was portrayed fantastic. So, man, if you guys have not seen the movie, obviously, if you haven't seen the movie, you shouldn't be watching this, because this is spoiler talk, and I hate to ruin things for you, but hey, I already told you in the beginning, so, hey, can't say anything about that. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm like oblivious and tired. I've been in my suit like all day. I wore this to work because it's like National, like, Marvel Superhero Day, I believe. And so my boss was like, yeah, you can wear your Spider-Man costume to work. And I was like, yup, whip, I'm gonna do that, done deal. And so I've been in this all day, so I'm kind of tired. I've been up since like 5 o'clock this morning, so if I seem crazy and I missed anything in terms of my recap of the movie, I'm sorry. But hey, you guys post in the comments. Let me know if you've seen the movie. What did you think? What were some things that stuck out to you? I loved that end scene with Captain America. He's just, that was pretty hilarious. I love how they used that in a few like moments in the movie. I thought that was pretty funny as well, especially like in detention with the kids. We seen Vulture talking to a guy in prison who I believe was Scorpion. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that's going to be cool because that's a villain that we haven't seen, you know, portrayed in movies yet. So, and then at the end with Aunt May, I was just wondering, like, man, eventually one day she's going to have to, like, find out, like, Peter is Spider-Man. So that ending scene where she just walks in and she's like, what the bleep? I just thought that was perfect. I thought it was a creative and fun way to end, and also leave us wanting more, because it's like the next time, you know, we get back to this adventure, you know, where's Peter Parker going to be in his life, and, you know, in terms of his relationships, and especially with Aunt May, finding out, like, you know, this definitely can't just be cosplay. You're the Spider-Man, so what's going on? And all these other stories, like why he's, you know, leaving school early and not showing up to things, will probably make more sense. So that'll be interesting and fun, you know, to think about as, you know, we wait for the sequel to the next Spider-Man movie, and to see, you know, what other issues and, you know, things that Peter Parker will be dealing with next. Guys, post in the comments, tell me, what did you think of Spider-Man Homecoming? How do you rank it compared to other Spider-Man movies? Is this your #1 favorite? If so, tell me why. If not, love to hear that as well, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are spectacular, amazing, ultimate, sensational. Yes, you guys are so cool. Thank you so much for tuning in. I need to get out of the suit and go eat some dinner because my wife probably thinks I'm crazy. And yes, we got leftover pizza, so I gotta go handle that. So until next time, guys, thwip!